what's up? My name is Yana and this is my new co-host, Archie. And I'm back in my little raincoat because in this video I'm counting down the 7 not so great things about the Umbrella Academy. Okay, so before we begin, this video will contain spoilers, so if you haven't watched the show, go and watch it first and then come back. Now, I have to admit it was actually quite difficult to come up with 7 things I didn't like about the show, because I think the show is great. But I got a little bit nitpicky, so here are my 7 not so great things about the Umbrella Academy. Number 7. Time travel. Now, time travel is not a negative in itself exactly, which is why it's so low on my list, but it does create a lot of problems. It's very difficult to have high stakes when you know that the characters can just go back in time and fix things. And in fact, they do that during the first season when they really mess up. Once you have something this powerful, you have to work very hard to keep the stakes believable and to keep your audience engaged. Number 6, the no communication syndrome. Now, this happens very often in movies and series and books and all sorts of media when characters just refuse to talk to each other, even though it would be the most sensible thing to do to just explain to one another what's happening. 5 takes ages to tell anyone that the end of the world is coming, even though there's only 5 days left. And there's a lot of other examples throughout the first season of the show when a character knows something, should share it with someone, should explain what's happening, should explain their actions, and they don't do it. Number 5, Vanya. Now, Vanya starts out reasonably likable in the first few episodes and just really gets worse and worse from there on. There are a lot of things that she does that I find difficult to excuse. Her past explains the way she behaves to some extent, but then we learn that even as a child, as a small child, she was murdering her nannies. And it's not really shown in a believable way that she didn't understand what was happening. She seems like an absolute demon child. And I don't mind it so much at the end when she just completely snaps and just goes all evil. But before that, when the show is clearly expecting us to sympathize with her, she's really not very sympathetic. Number 4. Now, I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this. Please don't come after me, it's personal opinion. But my number 4 is Ellen Page. Now, I know probably many of you absolutely adore her and think she's fantastic in this. That's fine. I have no opinion of Ellen Page whatsoever outside of the Umbrella Academy. I don't like her or dislike her. I'm not saying anything negative about her as a person or as an actress in general. I just did not like the way that she portrayed Vanya. And I just talked about Vanya as a character, and some of the issues that I have with Vanya are within the script. They are just issues with the character and who she is. But I do feel like a different performance would have made her more relatable or more interesting to me, or would have in some way made her more enjoyable to watch. I was just missing that little spark of magic that makes you connect with a character, that little something about the way that the actor plays them that makes you love them. And I've seen it happen in other shows where a character really isn't that likable, but there's something about the way that the actor portrays them that just really makes you connect with them, and I wish I had seen that here. Number 3, fridging romantic interests just for the sake of it. I just find it disrespectful to these side characters. So we had 2 major cases of this in the first season of the Umbrella Academy. The first one was Detective Patch, who was Diego's love interest, and who was a pretty badass character. She was a lovely person. She was probably not one of the nicest people. This is not really a show about very nice people. She clearly loved her job, was devoted to it. We got hints about history between her and Diego. They did have enough interaction for us to care, but ultimately she got killed off in like 2 seconds in a very kind of anticlimactic way. And the other thing about Detective Batch, she's not in the comic book, not as far as I know, not in the first volume anyway, so this is something that they added. And if you're going to add a character, commit to them, give them something more. You thought that this person was necessary. Develop them, give them a proper send-off, even if you're determined to kill them off, if you think that's necessary. Just give them a better death scene rather than just getting shot and like half a minute of Diego saying, "Oh no, you're dead now, I guess I'm really angry about it." And the other character that sort of happens to is Dave, Klaus's boyfriend from the past, from the Vietnam War. So what have we got? Klaus accidentally goes back in time to the Vietnam War, meets a soldier, falls in love with him apparently in 5 seconds. Because why? We're never told why. How did that happen? Why was it love at first sight? Why was that person so amazing? We know nothing. So he goes back there. They fight in the war for a while, 6 months or several months or something. I don't remember the exact number of months. And then Dave gets killed, no parting words, nothing, and Klaus goes back to the present, and that's it. Once again, Dave was not in the comic book, so they added this character, and it looks like they added him only so that they could have some gay representation and some form of gay romance. But then, just like with Detective Batch, if you're gonna insert that in there, commit to it, do more with it. You've added it, but you've given it like 1 second. It feels so underdeveloped and so rushed, and it just doesn't get the treatment that it deserves. Number 2, Vanya's boyfriend, Leonard, or Harold Jenkins, or whatever the hell his name is. Once again, that's something that they added in there, and for a little while it actually really worked at the beginning, because you're not immediately sure that he's a villain. There is the mystery, you wonder what he's all about, why is he showing up, but then the payoff is just really weak. So first of all, his reasoning for hating the Umbrella Academy is kind of weird. He got abused as a child, his whole life was ruined, and he was jealous because he wanted to be in the Umbrella Academy. And one of the worst things is the way that he dies. This is not how you kill a villain. You want to build up your villain, you want to make them seem really dangerous, and you don't just dispose of them just like that. There's meant to be a little bit more to it. And my number 1 not so great thing about the Umbrella Academy is not enough time spent on developing storylines and characters. And I've already touched upon this when I was talking about the fridging, but this is more in general. And I know why this is, because with a TV show you never know whether you're going to have another season, so you're kind of trying to show as much as you can. But then that's really sad, because a series is not a movie, so the very fact that you're watching a series should mean that you have plenty of time, and you can spend a lot of time on each character and on each plot line. I can imagine what they would have done if they knew that this would go on for several seasons. We could have gotten more time with Ben, we could have gotten, as I mentioned previously, more time with Dave and Klaus. We could have developed the relationship between Luther and Allison a bit more. All of those little things that if you do them slowly, they stay with the viewer a lot more, they have a much bigger impact. So these are my 7 not so great things about the Umbrella Academy. As you can see, they're not really awful things about the Umbrella Academy. I still really love the show, I think it's great, I think it's really worth a watch, and I'm really excited about the second season whenever that comes out, because it might be a while. Thank you very much for watching. Feel free to go and check out my other video about the 7 best things about the Umbrella Academy, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Bye!